Okay, we're going to bring the needles out. We're going to reassemble the machine and bring the needles out. So I've got all of the needles butted up against the little spacing donut, okay? Don't get them out of place, but you have to take this and store it in your box, okay? Then, the machine, let me have it in normal. Okay, the machine starts to go back on, and so the first thing, if you want to come right over the top, the first thing is to carefully place the knitter itself atop without knocking needles out of place, okay? And I'm going to move this over to freewheel. All I want it to do is that. Those have to be flush, okay? That's the post from the dial, and then that's the external ring that's part of the knitter, and it has to be flush. If that dial is down low, you're sitting on top of a needle heel, is what it boils down to. Now here's the handle, okay, and that's what pushes back or forth, okay, right there, and also that's where the yarn comes through, and so it needs to be in between these, not over here, or your timing's wrong, okay? So in between, so that hits that or hits that, and that's how you push the machine. Now I want to put in all important lid B. Don't lose lid B. See the first video if you think that this is not important. And I've got my little rig that holds it in place. This plate goes atop there. Let me shut this off. My husband's phone, you can just leave it on there. My husband's phone insists that you check things like weather forecasts, or it keeps making the call to hounds. Okay. This, if my bell worked, my bell is broken. There's deep in the bowels of the bell, there's a plate that mounts the bell to, you can see edges of it, that mounts the bell to the knitter itself. And that plate, sadly, is pot metal. And even more sadly, mine is broken, so my bell does not work, which is unfortunate because I'm one of those people that really likes bells and things like that. I'd knit for years if a bell rung every once in a while. I would need to care about that because that would be the bell actuator, okay, the timing with the amount of turns, number of turns, but it doesn't, so I don't have to care, okay? If you have a bell that works, before you take your machine apart, take a look to see where that little nub is, okay? It's been so long since my bell worked that I don't remember. Then I'm going to put these screws in. Don't lose these either. Now, this looks awfully fussy, and it is kind of fussy. However, just like with any other machine, once it's set up, all you have to mess around with are needle changes and stuff, unless you're going to change what size dial you're going to use for the needles. Okay, so this is a once in a while setup. If you're knitting a lot, I'm just screwing screws in. I'm sorry, I can't. My hands are oily, and I can't. I want you to be able to see every little important move, but you know, screwing something down is pretty obvious. Especially if you do it with two hands, it goes that much faster. So there's that, and one more. They've got machine threads on them because they're so short. They have to have fine threads so that they don't work their way out. My son was in the Coast Guard, and he said they spent a lot of time just tightening screws everywhere on the research vessel that he was on because screws will work their way back out with any kind of vibration or motion. Okay, so that's nice and snug, and I'm going to put that hole goes over that because that's where the yarn comes through. I'll show that later. And then I'm going to tighten my little rig. Okay, now, as per the other video, how does the machine work? We're going to do two things. We're going to move this to knitting, and my picture is not accurate, and I will get another picture. I had it all the way to the small, but I'm going to leave it at low. I want it big, and then I'm going to bring this out to close the trap gate so that it forces the needles out, and then around we go. You twist clockwise. Here, okay, here they come. Okay, now, at that point, I close this, okay? There's this, where am I? There's the stitch size. That's the tension thing. Isn't that awesome for the, like the heel spring? But I want to close this because I don't want it to have to pop through that little gate that I showed you. And now, we're ready to cast on.